Welcome to another edition of the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside Louisville, Kentucky, and in Maryland, the land of pleasant living. My longtime friend, esteemed colleague, and excellent coach, John Webster. John, how are you doing this fall evening?
Gary, I'm doing great, man. Good to see you. I know you're busy down there in Kentucky with all that football you got going on. I know we're gonna come to some
And
football.
and
I mean, we'll,
basketball now, man. We're getting the
and some
basketball
basketball.
season.
We'll talk about it before we get going. Hey, John Pitt, how you doing, man?
We got Champions League soccer, hockey. It's a lot going on, guys. I'm doing good. Good to
Oh,
see
oh yeah. I forgot about Champions League. Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, yeah,
go
we
ahead,
got to
go ahead,
figure.
Gary.
One of these days we're gonna get around to talking about that because I get it on Paramount Plus, and that's some good stuff to have on in the afternoon right now.
you. Yeah.
Hey, man, let's get right into it. A lot of sports going on, lots of stuff to talk about. We're gonna start with this NFL NFC East conversation. Like we always do, Gary. We're going to jump into it. Each one of these teams, we're going to start off with the Giants. Well, the Giants and the Eagles together because they played each other Sunday. Eagles beat them. Homecoming game for Saquon Barkley. Had a really great game, man. What do you think, Gary? Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, the little bit that I was able to see of the game, it went pretty much as I expected. The thing I was a little surprised about, and I guess that really speaks to Saquon Barkley, I mean, he could have broken all kinds of, personal records, whatever, career highs. And, he was caught on the sidelines talking to one of his teammates and, a coach and, just saying, look, let's let the young guys eat. And that was really magnanimous of him. And, I think in his case, he probably knows he's going to have another game where he gets a chance to break a career high for for yardage and all the things that he does. But I just thought that was just a great thing for him to do. That as good a day as he was having, again he fed everybody else.
Gary, I agree with you, man. I think he had 176 yards rushing, but
Yeah,
to say he had enough says a lot for him. Also, it's very obvious that, and you and I have talked about it before, mistake was made by not keeping him. But it is what it is. Next
right.
game, the Giants play the Pittsburgh Steelers at Pittsburgh. That's going to be a really rough one for them. And the Eagles are going to Cincinnati, and I think Cincinnati is starting to turn it around. They're playing some good ball, trying to play some good ball. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the thing about the Eagles going to Cincinnati, since you mentioned the Bengals, that how many times rather have we seen this with the Bengals where they get off to these slow starts and little by little they start to find their game, and then next thing you know, Joe Burrow is doing what Joe Burrow does, and it makes you wonder why did they get off the slow starts? Now I know here the reason why because because he was hurt. And I mean, he was slow, really kind of getting back into playing shape. And but like these last couple of weeks, he's looked good. He's starting to look like himself. And I think Philly, I think they're in for a matchup when they face them because between the defense, between Burrow, really now getting on the same page with his receivers. Everybody's, figuring out things, and they've got a running game that it's going to be a challenge for them. And if they want to use Saquon Barkley, well, they better use Saquon Barkley more to the point if they want to win this game. You can't really rely so much solely on Jalen Hurts to get it done. I think it has to be a two-pronged attack.
And if you're running him, if you're running Barkley, and you're controlling that clock, you're keeping that Cincinnati faithful, those fans, sitting down and being very quiet. And
Yep.
that's what you want.
Yep, and you're keeping that defense on the field.
You're right, man. Next up, congratulations to the Dallas Cowboys, Gary.
Oh man, what did I miss? What did
They
I
had a
miss?
bye week. They didn't lose.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I honestly, as easy as it is to throw dirt on them, I don't want to because, to me, it's more sad than funny because it's like they're blowing their own chance. I know they have a whole lot of injuries, but I feel like Jerry Jones is killing that team right now. It's like I wish he would just be quiet. I wish he would have he would like have an attack of common sense. Get a football guy in there and run that team because I mean, he is killing that team. He wants to fire the radio guys. Anybody that disagrees with him, he wants to send them out to pasture. In the meantime, Dak is just scuffling. Everybody on that team is really just scuffling right now, either trying to fill the voids for injuries or trying to figure out what the heck they want to do. And I think a lot of it is, Jerry just needs to shut up, let them play, let the coach, let them do what they do, and he needs to stay out of it. As a media person, I should love this when he talks after games. I've been in there a couple times. When he came in, particularly at that period where Tony Romo got hurt and was out for a significant amount of time, which of course kind of dates me now. But as much as we love his insight on some things, this ain't the time to be hearing from him. This is the time you be hearing from the coach, maybe the players to describe what's wrong, not from the owner who's meddlesome.
Yeah, you said a mouthful. Hey, man, I agree with you. Now, don't forget also, he questioned the play calling of his head coach this week. So
Yeah.
don't forget that as well. I
Yeah.
think it's a rough situation. They got San Francisco coming up this week. How do you think they do out there in San Francisco?
Well, because San Francisco is kind of in disarray, in my opinion. That one's a toss-up, John. I'll be honest with you. There's just something off about Frisco. I can't really put my finger on it. I'll say and maybe it's some of the injuries that they've had too. They just seem a little out of sync. And of course, when you play Kansas City, and Kansas City is, they're living rent free in the 49ers' head. So I think we could have expected, that kind of outcome. But they just seem off in a lot of ways, and I don't know if it's a post Super Bowl lag, whether it's just something where they're questioning themselves because of what happened last season. But and maybe it's still just early because we're only we're just barely 6 weeks into the season. You got 11 more weeks and they just haven't hit their stride yet. And the thing is as shaky as they look, they're still not out of the division. I mean, they've got a whole lot of time and things I think will kind of settle into that pattern like it does for them. But they just have to look better. And maybe Dallas is a way that they can get healthy. Maybe Dallas can get healthy against the 49ers, taking advantage of that.
We'll see, man. It's going to be really interesting. Believe it or not, at this time of the season, and for both of these teams, the next thing I'm going to say is going to sound very surprising. I think it's a must-win game for both of them.
Oh, without a doubt, because I think the one thing with, with the way that Washington is playing right now, whether or not it's Jaden Daniels or Marcus Mariota, they are playing well offensively. Granted, they ran up the numbers against Carolina, which is in disarray and about to go back to Bryce Young at quarterback, but that all of a sudden it's like that team just kind of flipped a switch on, and they look like they're about ready to run away with the division. Of course, they have to face Philly, they have to face the Giants. Well, they've already beaten the Giants, but yeah, they have to face Philly. They still have to face Dallas. But they're looking good right now, and Dallas and Philly run the risk of kind of falling behind in a division that might be lucky to send two teams to the playoffs.
Well, you mentioned Washington and how they're playing. Their next three games, well, they have Carolina, then they have Chicago, then they go to the New York Giants, then they have Pittsburgh, and then they go to Philadelphia. Dallas, and then Tennessee. So we'll see how that goes.
It's a gauntlet.
Against, yeah, I mean, they're 5-2 right now. You know, it's iffy about if Jaden Daniels is going to play. They're trying to be very careful. Something that goes back to something you said in one of the earlier shows, Gary, about Jaden Daniels and being careful when you're running the ball and this not being a situation where he gets injured and you don't properly take care of the injury. I think Washington is being very cautious right now. If they need to, they will sit him out because this is still early in the season. You save it for another day. You fight
Yeah,
another day. So we'll
yeah.
see how that goes. But Chicago coming to town, they got the kid Caleb Williams here from DC. Went to Gonzaga High School, played at USC. So I'm looking forward to a really good game. And I'm telling you, I can watch these games on TV and I can see that frenzy coming back into the stadium, Gary. I can
I
see
can too.
I can see the excitement and the belief that people have in this Washington team. And it really took, to me, it took note when they lost to Baltimore and they were still fired up. And then they came out this next week after the loss to Baltimore and played as well as they did. I think it was 40-7 they beat the Carolina Panthers. So I'm really excited for Washington. It's great they're in first place, but it's early. You got to keep on playing hard. The Bears consistently, always give Washington problems. So this is not going to be a gimme game. It's going to be a hard game. If you remember last year, they played Chicago on Monday Night Football. And that receiver, I can't remember the receiver's name. You know, he had a Hall of Fame game just on that one game. So
yeah. Let's move. Yeah, we're gonna move past that one. You know the best thing about this start is you can see confidence in this team that we haven't seen in a long time. Um,
mhm,
they
mhm,
actually believe in the system. They believe in themselves. And even after a loss, it's just a matter of like, okay, next week, it,
mhm.
there was that saying, John, about don't let one loss turn into two, or in Washington's
Yeah.
case, something like six or seven.
Mhm.
There's just like a resolve that we see in this team. I don't know how much of that has to do with Daniels. I don't know how much of that has to do with the coaching staff, but you kind of see body language with them that you didn't see last year, that we haven't seen for a lot of years, even that year they squeaked into the playoffs.
You're right. You're right. Now, the last thing I want to bring up to you is not NFC East. Just give you a couple seconds to voice your opinion on it.
Okay.
Tua is coming back this week. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he should wait another week. I know he's been cleared, but I really do think you need to get with something like that. Look, you have to appreciate his dedication. Um, but I think a lot of us are at a point, John, where we're really, really worried about his long-term health and maybe his short-term health with something like that. Because I mean, we've seen this happen with him three times, and it's kind of scary. It really is. He doesn't want to wear the cap on the helmet.
Right.
That's something that kind of bothers me. But I think, right now, I don't think that there's any harm in him waiting another week to see how
Mhm.
things feel, to really kind of get his legs back under him and before he gets back out there. And they have to figure out a way to protect him better, quite frankly, because it's not a matter of if when he gets sacked, but when and just how hard. Because these linemen, these rushers, are not going to ease up on him. I think they're cognizant of what he's got going on, but they're not going to ease up on him. And that's something that they have to do to protect their investment and to protect his life and health, most of all.
Yeah. Gary, before we Yeah, I was listening to you. You know, you saw me have my head down. Um, just got breaking news across my phone.
Yeah.
South Florida basketball coach Amir Abdul Rahim has died. So my
Yeah, I just saw
condolences.
that.
Yeah, my condolences
Yeah.
to his family. He's the younger brother of Sharif Abdul Rahim. Sharif played in the NBA, and they said Amir was doing really good at South Florida. He was starting to turn that program around. You want to give any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm kind of stunned trying to get my mind around it. And just like you, John, it's just like my heart goes out to his family, to that program and to those players in particular, because I mean, John, as a coach and we both know as athletes that there's a closeness that you develop and something like that happens, you feel like you've lost a family member. And I mean,
Mhm.
that's just really really kind of stunning, to hear about. Well, just all I gotta say, prayers go up, because that it's just sad. That's all I can really say.
I understand, Gary. I understand. Well, let's move into NCAA football. There's a new number one because those Longhorns came up short.
Good one, John. I like that. Well, a couple of friends of mine who are Georgia fans, and we were exchanging texts, and I said, "Man, do dogs love beef or what?" That was.
That's a good one too, Gary.
Hey, 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 John. We got a million of them, but John, I was pleasantly surprised by Georgia on that one. Pleasantly surprised by how thorough it was. I mean, there was no doubt about that. I did have them winning that game, quite honestly. I didn't have them winning by that. I thought it was going to to use your favorite term, I thought it was going to be a slobber knocker, to be honest with you. And 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 I think maybe losing at Alabama kind of showed them something about themselves, that that they needed. And I think Texas kind of needed a wake-up call that number one, this ain't the Big 12. This is SEC football. You all want it in. This is what you're going to face. And the challenges aren't done for Texas. And I mean, we see what's happening with Oklahoma, other than them getting to Tennessee. But Georgia, I think, really kind of showed that they are still kind of the top dog in this conference, and that things go through them. Now, of course, we're still looking at Georgia and Tennessee. Texas still, I think they still have to face. I'm trying to think of who else they have to face. I think they have to face Alabama as well. So, that's it remains to be seen how Texas adjusts. But just as we were about to crown them, that we basically showed Connor Wegman has a way to go. We showed that Steve Sarkisian has a way to go in terms of coaching against teams like Georgia.
Hey, man, go ahead and put Arch in the game.
You know something? I agree with you on that because you saw the spark that he gave them. He's the one that helped them get off to the good start. I say, why not? If and when you have two good quarterbacks, we've seen those situations where having two good quarterbacks, you can use them for different situations.
Mhm.
If you're Texas and you want to stay in the playoff discussion, and let me be clear, that one loss is not going to hurt them by any stretch. Even if Georgia had lost that game, two losses is not going to hurt them. The team that can't afford another loss, of course, is Alabama. And right now, it's not even about whether Alabama wins or loses a game. It's just that they have got to start looking better. They just don't look good right now.
I mean, when you look at Alabama, they should have lost to Georgia a couple weeks back when they had the
Hmm.
big lead and Georgia came back. But all intents and purposes, They should have lost to South Carolina when South Carolina couldn't make the field goal at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And then last week they lost to Tennessee. This is the first Alabama team to lose 2 games this early in the season since 2007.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that? Let's see now. I'm trying to remember. Okay, I can't remember who was coached then, because now I can't remember how many years Saban was there. I want to say it was probably about 16 years or something, but it's at a point now where I remember looking on social media and seeing, and people were actually saying, you got to fire Kalen DeBoer, and I'm thinking, well, okay, that's premature. But then when I started seeing Ray Perkins's picture up on some of these memes, I'm like, ooh, that hurts. That really hurts.
The thing that I think with DeBoer, I still say he's a very good coach. But I
Mhm.
also still say you do not want to be the one to follow the man. You want to be the one to follow the man that followed the man.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you break that down, what I'm saying, you don't want to be after Nick Saban. You don't want to be after Mike Krzyzewski. You don't want to be after Roy Williams, Tom Izzo, John Wooden. The list goes on and on.
Right here in Kentucky, don't forget, following John Calipari.
John Calipari, Rick
Yeah,
Pitino in Kentucky. The list goes on. You don't want to be the
yeah,
one following Coach Thompson at Georgetown.
Louisville.
You
But
know
anyway, yeah,
what you said? What'd you
that's
say?
no. I said, well, you said Kentucky. I said Louisville. When you mentioned Patino.
Well, yeah.
I know what you meant, but for those Kentucky fans or Louisville fans watching this, that they'll probably say, come on, man, get it right, But
he's been at both places, and he did. As far as I'm concerned, he did a wonderful job at both places. Great coach,
obviously, yeah. And
great
he's made
coach.
amends with Kentucky. He was there for Big Blue Madness, and that I tell you
That was Mark Pope's thing the other night, right? Wasn't he
yeah,
there for
yeah.
Mark Pope the other night? Yeah.
He was there for Big Blue Madness, and I mean it was really great to see. I think in a strange way when Kentucky hired Pope, that it kind of buried the hatchet because of the ties. It reminded people of the ties to Patino and what he did for that program in terms of bringing them back from NCAA penalties, the unforgettables, and then of course, winning the championship with arguably the probably the best Kentucky team anybody's ever seen. Nobody, even with Anthony Davis, what they did in 2012, with Calipari, you ask anybody here in the state what was the best team, and they always point to that 95, 96 team and just say they were dominant. I mean,
Hey,
they won games like by double digits. I mean, like I want to say by 20 points.
hey, Gary.
Nobody got close to them.
Hey, Gary. Were they better than Rupp's Runts?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, oh, I mean, and I'm one, John. I don't like to compare eras, but for crying out loud, that when I remember how strong that team was, and I loved it, from Patino's standpoint because you and I in the DC area seeing what he did at Providence and how he used to give Georgetown games and such that it's like what he did there, Kentucky, and then eventually down the road at Louisville, like of course that title team that I covered my first year here, that he created a term here known as the boom, where they're either let's just say a 4 to 6 point to 8 point game would suddenly become a 20 point game. They would just go on these huge runs and just basically put it out of reach. And that was a Patino staple, and it started with defense.
Man, you said a mouthful again, Gary. Tremendous
You got me
coaches.
wound up now. I was a little
I'm
tired early before we got on, man. But now, yeah, you look, you put some things in my wheelhouse.
Well, let me put one more in your wheelhouse, man. I need you to smack this one out the infield and make a home run. Let's
All
talk
right.
World Series, man. Let's talk about these Yankees and Dodgers, man. What's going to
Oh,
happen starting on Friday evening?
well, I think it's the Dodgers game because I mean they're playing at home. Shohei Ohtani obviously loves Dodger Stadium, and really he loves the spotlight. This was what he was living for. We
Mhm.
saw it just up the road in Anaheim when he was playing for the Angels, but him coming to the Dodgers is like a dream come true for him and the Dodgers. Having said that, I do wonder about their pitching in a series like this, especially against that murderer's row that the Yankees have, with Stanton, Soto, and Aaron Judge. And well, there was something. One of those home runs that Soto hit. I mean, you talk about tearing the cover off the ball. That kid, for all of the talk that Stanton and Judge, well, Judge and Stanton in that order, you'll get, and rightfully so. My goodness gracious, John, Juan Soto just plain kills the ball, and it just reminds me of what he did for the Nationals in that title year 5 years ago, as it turns out, and he's got a chance for another ring. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Yankees win this game. I still have the Dodgers winning a 7-game series. I just think it's just that even that it's gonna go down to a seventh game, and I would give it to the Dodgers just because of Ohtani. But my goodness gracious, that Juan Soto is just something to behold. I mean, Aaron Judge is too, the way he just crushes a ball. But from the other side of the plate, Juan Soto just flat out kills it.
I'm in agreement with you, Gary. I think the Dodgers in seven. I think the Yankees have a good team. I think Stanton has found his hitting his hitting beat again. I mean, he was awesome in just the past series when they took out Cleveland. He just was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
Those Dodgers were Mookie Betts, Ohtani, Teoscar, what's that? Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah.
They're
Who
just
we don't talk about nearly enough,
yeah,
because of Ohtani and Mookie Betts.
yeah.
I
And then
mean,
you got Max Muncy. They're a tough team, man. And I think I think the I think the Dodgers beat them. I think the bullpen of the Yankees will disappoint them in this series, and we'll go with it from there.
yeah.
Gary, I'm going to say it for you. Another fast moving show, man. We are out of time. I don't know where it goes. We're going to have to find some time real soon to talk about some hockey, some championship soccer. It,
And the NBA
we'll
has
wrap up.
started up. We didn't even get to the NBA.
NBA has started up, man. It's a lot to talk about. Gary, go ahead and take us home, man.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. UConn will make it a three-peat. They're going to make history, and I don't see anybody that can really top them right now. I will say I would
This is on the
predict that
men's side, right? This
on
is on
on
the
the
men's
men's
side.
side. Yeah, on the men's side. But it's going to be fun watching Paige Beckers with UConn on the women's side, in her final season. Of course, South Carolina, I think, is going to South Carolina on the women's side. I can't see anybody toppling them either. But I'm really impressed with UConn, and even with the guys they've lost to the NBA. But folks, this is why we love what we do, because sports gives us so much fulfillment. It's a release, with everything going on. Look, anything that can take your mind off the election, I think is a good thing. So watch sports. Most importantly, watch us. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell your preacher. We'll send you a link on YouTube, on Facebook. John, take us home, bro.
Hey, another great show, another great week in sports. A lot of fun. You all make sure you watch sports and then come back and see us real soon. Take care.